There it is.
We are live.
Okay. Welcome to the Wednesday, September 4th, Parks, Recreation, and Open Space meeting. The first thing we're going to do is approve the minutes for August of 2024. I don't know what to do from here.
Second.
Say, can I get a second?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Okay. We do not have public here, so we're going to skip that. Okay, on to old business. The Meadow update. Dawn, do you want to fill us in on the Meadow?
Yes, I've talked to, it's a funny name. The Weeds Inc. are the people that put in the Nichols Park Meadow. I've talked to, there's a father-son, Brian and Drew O'Neill. I've talked to Father Brian, and they said they were going to be out. I explained to him what we wanted to do. We wanted to try a mini meadow at Crossan Park. And he said, well, send me the coordinates of the park so he could look at it, on Google Earth. So he looked at that. He said he's going to be out next week. He doesn't know exactly when, but he's going to let me know. And then I can tell any of you, if you're available, to meet him at Crossan Park. And they give free estimates. He said he didn't care how small it was. So he was happy with our little mini meadow. And so I had gone to a meadow workshop 2 years ago. He and his son were at that one at Shadyside Park in Downingtown. So he's the guy. He's the guy. So if you guys can think of any questions that we want to ask him when he comes out, I have a list of questions, of course, but if you guys, I will let you know as soon as I know when he's coming, and then we can meet him out there. He tells us what the ideas are, what the costs are, so it gives us a jumping off point.
Okay.
So it's all good.
Awesome. Does anyone have any questions on the Meadow? Okie dokie. The next on the agenda is the sign language sign, but we're actually going to hold off on that until after Fall Fest. Correct, Bob?
Yes.
Okay. Next is the You Are Here map. A bunch of us went out on, I guess, last Friday and drew out the loops that we're going to make on that map. So we checked that switchback that we had spoken about before, and we are going to keep that. And then the northeast section, there's like the red trail that has the abandoned trail. That's going to be realigned down there.
Mary, is there any way you can pull the map up and show us exactly where you're talking about?
Yeah. I hate
just
sharing
gonna suggest
screens. It
that.
makes me nervous.
Just curious. I'm not very good with coordinates.
Up in the corner there where
The other corner and then the other corner.
Yeah, I'm not good with this.
You could say by the tot lot, by the creek. I can follow that.
I don't know.
Sorry, it takes a while to open.
By Noah's house.
Yeah, I have
Okay.
I think I have like one of the maps. Oh, here we go. I have an old map, Mary, if I can. I don't know if I have the right permissions to share my screen.
You do, sir.
Oh, go for it then.
That'd be
amazing.
At me, fancy boy. All right. So this is an old map, so I'm probably just going to confuse people.
How old?
This was the map we used, Mary.
Oh no, that's great.
Yeah. So what we're talking about was there was a confusion. Can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the points of confusion was what we're doing here. And really where the confusion was we are abandoning a trail here in lieu of a gentler sloped trail to connect the green and red loops. So some of the confusion was, we're abandoning the trail over here. No, we're putting in the switchback. And then both were kind of true. We are abandoning a trail, but we are going to keep this here because this is our connector back to the parking lot for the red trail. This is being flagged out now. And this was always in the plan. I think one of the questions was, do we put it in the map now when it's not quite complete, or do we just wait? And I think for now we'll just keep it here, because if someone ends up on the steep trail, they'll end up here they'll end up in the loops anyway. So we'll just leave this as it is. It's going in. We'll just leave it, even if it's not 100% accurate.
Okay.
Then the next piece was not really that big of a deal. So we have a new trail in here that Mary has already drawn in, that this area, we moved the trail out of this corner, and it kind of comes up through here and into this kind of gray area. Actually, I think it just connects up to here, something like that. So this is already there. Where we wanted to fix is this little jag right here, which is, it's a hard right and then a hard left down a very steep slope. And so, again, not really any major change. We're just going to connect these corners together. Maybe not exactly accurate of these two corners, but that's what we're doing. Is so rather than someone having to go down this jag or up this jag, we'll just go, the trail will just kind of slope over here as a normal kind of loop. So I think those were like the 2 points of conversation that we had. I think a lot of the pro was here. Jeff was with us. Betsy was with me. And that was the plan. And that's kind of in line with sort of the concept that the board of supervisors came up with. I sent Mary an email that kind of summarized what we were talking about with like a bullet point list. If she wants to share it with everybody else, that's fine, and read it. We also talked about it at a board meeting, but so that's the plan here. Is we wanted to get this done. I think Mary, you said we might be able to get this done before the
Fall Fest.
Fall Fest. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the plan.
So it's awesome. Oh, I guess the other piece was like up here in the corner. The green loop here actually goes around here. That was another edit that we made.
And then that orange trail that goes down.
Yeah, I got Jim Johnson made fun of me because I called it. I said, hey, we're talking about that middle finger. Like, did you call that the middle finger? Is that what it's called now? Like, no, I don't think so. But everyone knows what I talk about when I say middle finger. So the yellow trail goes down this gray piece right here, right? It follows this route. This is still, there's a little trail here that's still there, but it's kind of difficult to get down. So this yellow chunk from like here to here it doesn't exist anymore, and the yellow goes around here and out and back to the yellow loop. So I think it accomplishes one of the major goals of the township. We want to have as much continuous open green space as we can have, right? So for animal habitat and whatnot, and then we want to have different levels of trails for people to enjoy and different looks to what people enjoy, and kind of simplifies the whole process. So I'm excited about it. The one note that I did get was we're not sure about these loop names. I know Liam doesn't want his name attached to this loop. So we might want to not leave any loop names for now on here. Just leave them blank. I know so. I think that's it, Mary. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
Could I suggest you do put a loop, because just name it Hellbenders or whatever, just so that people recognize it as a loop.
It'll eventually name. The question was like, how are we coming up with the name? And I just kind of shorthanded it, and that'll be a kind of a conversation that we'll have later. But we'll leave it great. I mean, the loop is still here.
How about you just let Mary write loop on there until you name it?
I can do loop and then the distance.
You could. I mean, it doesn't. That's fine, but it's obviously a loop. Like if you look at the picture, it's a loop. I don't know how it could be misconstrued as anything other than a loop.
Maybe I could just put the distance.
Yeah, you could do that. Can we do that on all of these? Like red loop?
Yeah, it's down in the legend on the
Oh, I
bottom.
see it. It's like super,
Yeah.
okay, I got it.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe like loop A, loop B or something. If you want to do that.
Okay.
For now.
I do think that that probably makes sense. I think if I was looking at the map and I was gonna go for a hike, I would want to know that is, kind of going into it, that maybe that's part of the trail system. Or something that's really walkable. So I think loop might be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I do want to point out is from like the township perspective with the gray trails aren't necessarily going to be heavily maintained by the township. Like we'll keep an eye on the reds, the colored loop trails. So like, for example, like this little loop, this line here, this is used a lot by hikers and mountain bikers, but we're kind of leaving this to be maintained if there's if the mountain bike team wants to maintain it. So that's the only question I have in here is like this can get pretty hairy, particularly in the spring if it hasn't been mowed. I mean, we can, again, I'm not arguing, like, I don't care. We can call it loop A, loop B. And if we want to give it an official name, that's fine. Just be aware that particularly in this loop, I'm not sure about this one, but this one can get pretty overgrown at times. But again, I'm not, it doesn't really matter if we put loop A, loop B, and then we'll talk about naming it later.
Okay.
All right. So I was
Any
just thinking out
other-
loud there. So
Any other
Matt
questions on
Thompson?
that?
Is Matt Thompson doing the trail modifications for us?
yes, so Matt's gonna rough in this guy right here and rough in this guy right here. We're not sure, when we'll actually get to it, but the good news is this is traversable now. So if you are a hiker or a walker, you can walk. You can do the whole green loop if you want. Just this part here will be straight up and down instead of a bend, and this will be what it is right now. So
Mary, if you're I guess if you're gonna try and get this, kind of pulled together and maybe have some copies printed for the Fall Fest, would you make those changes in those two locations prior to printing it? Is that the intention?
I'd imagine, yeah.
Great. And then we can hand it out as we can hand it out at our table. Maybe Stacy could print copies for us, or
I don't know, because I'm not sure, Dave, how do you want to like present it? You know what I mean? Like, is there gonna be like, hey, we can just pass it out? You're on mute.
you're muted.
muted,
Oh.
yes. So I don't see why we couldn't hand them out if people wanted them. I mean, we make them available, I think, to the library, and I think that might be interesting to have along with other pro information, just all of the maps to all of our trail system.
Okay.
Have Banffshire there, have Cross in here. I don't think that's such a bad idea.
Okay. We have the
Uh,
Fall Fest thing at the bottom. If we want to just jump down to the Fall Fest discussion.
Well, and also just, may I add that David Payne is waiting for the ones to put in the backpack. And I think he's going to be, if I'm not mistaken, he's going to be at the 18th Board of Supervisors meeting. So if we could even have something ready for him to put in the backpacks, Banffshire, Cross, and the other ones, that would be awesome too.
I mean, I think so. We can just send him an electronic copy, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
So
Oh,
he
that's
doesn't need
amazing. Then I
anything.
don't have to reformat.
yeah, that would be
Yeah, you just-
awesome.
All you got to do is send him an electronic version, and he'll deal with it.
Awesome.
Will he have a booth at the Fall Fest?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so maybe he'll need copies prior to the Board of
Yep.
Supervisors meeting so he can tuck those in the backpack. That would be
Yep.
great.
That's
Yep.
actually, that's a good idea because he'll probably want to give examples. He'll probably bring examples of the backpacks with him, right?
Yeah,
That'd
I
be
saw him today. He
awesome.
has several sitting out in the library and they look really great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Are we worried that people are gonna just pick up the flyers and they're gonna wind up, I know we had talked about QR codes. Is it possible instead to just have a poster with a QR code and then people will connect then to the Franklin Township website?
I think that's a great idea, to be honest. I think it's a better idea than,
Printing.
yeah. I mean, I think we
guess
should
my
have
concern is-
copies.
The formatting that Mary's worried about, but also I just worry that people are gonna be picking up so much stuff at the fair that they'll wind up all over the parking lot. I don't think people would intentionally do it, but
No, you're right. You're 100% right. It might be I mean, maybe you have a couple, like if someone asks for one.
right, if someone who doesn't have the ability to look up QR codes, stuff like that, but
Yeah.
maybe be stingy with them.
So Mary, do you know how, I mean, do we have that ability to say, put a QR code like up here in this blank spot and say, hey, for an electronic version of the map, here it is?
Yeah, I just need the exact URL to put in there.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think Jeff had created one at some point. We talked about it a while ago.
We had, yeah.
I've had it on some of my other maps.
Okay.
I would say between Mary and I will defer to Mary if she wants to do the work. Between the two of us, we can come up with a QR code
Yeah, I'm sure.
pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Well, I got to be honest. I'm very excited about this. This is something I've been talking about and for a long time, and getting the posts and signs up and the trails laid out. This is great. I'm really excited about this. So
Good.
thank
This is
you everybody
awesome.
for the
Yeah,
work.
no.
This is awesome.
Not to put you on the spot, Dave, but this is the exact distance that some of the cross country teams use, and would you be open to eventually high schools being able to use this as a cross country?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I just said it's
public
exciting that
park.
it's a good distance and it's a great park, and utilize the park even more.
100%. This is a public park, and this is, we have a mountain bike team that uses it. We've got runners who use it. I think, one of the things that we'll think about is, and this is what we talked about a little bit with the mountain bike teams, is if you're going to do, we have, regular events. If you need to block off, say, the red loop for Tuesday night practice, that's something we might want to talk about. Like people rent or reserve the playing fields,
Mhm.
I'm just spitballing ideas, but yeah, of course. I think that if the high school cross country team wants to use the park, that's great. That's awesome.
School already uses it. At least they do 2 or 3 times a year that I notice and see.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at these. So the red loop is what, 3 miles, 3.1. So it's a perfect 5K almost.
Mm.
That's awesome.
Very cool. Those are going to be adjusted a little with the edits, but just a little.
Yeah. It might be a little bit longer. Red might be a little bit longer.
Mm.
Green might be a little bit shorter.
Yeah. And I think gold is a little longer too.
Yeah, gold
Okay.
will be longer. Anyway,
Hold on. Can I just say something real quick?
yeah.
Okay, for the legend, it says orange, and technically the color is called electron gold. So
Electron gold.
yeah, so I don't know, like in the legend, what do you want me to call it out as?
Just say
Well-
orange.
Orange?
Jeff,
Yeah.
Jeff, what color did you actually get for the trail markers that we purchased?
I have red, green, yellow, blue, and orange.
Oh, we'll just use the orange.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think I see gold. I agree with gold, but I think of gold as yellow.
Okay.
But I honestly, it's, again, if everyone's like, that's orange, I'll have to defer to the team to say, oh, that's orange, I guess. I don't care.
Okay.
Orange is fine with me. We can just use orange.
Okay.
Do we know which loop or which thing Matt's using for
Yeah.
the run on Fall Festival?
Yes,
Which
The red
red-
one.
it's
The
it's
red-
gonna be the red one.
Okay, I was just curious. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That'll be fun.
Any other questions for the map?
No, but I do just have to say, if I was going to participate in a run, I would want a t-shirt. And so maybe we could consider that in the future. I would participate if there was a free t-shirt at the end.
You know, that is a very good point. I was just thinking about signing up, and now that there won't be a t-shirt, maybe I won't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just throwing it out there, just throwing it out there.
That's a good idea.
That's
for next
exactly
year.
why I'm not running. No t-shirt, I'm
A
not doing.
t-shirt with a
Well,
there's
come on.
there's always a prize at the end, guys. There's always a
well,
prize.
Hey,
so it's
hey,
it match-
every year we think of new things. Every time we think of new things. So keep adding.
Okay.
Well, in Matt's case, he's not charging for the 5K. He's just looking for donations. But maybe
Fair
next
point.
year we have like a $10 entry fee and everyone gets a free t-shirt.
Hmm.
You
I
know,
like it.
and all money goes to some green event. I don't know. I like that idea too, Andrea. I'm with you. No
Hmm.
t-shirt, no run.
I know,
I
I
think a
know.
water bottle, right?
I keep thinking of new things every time. You know, if you stop by the plant swap, get a sticker. I don't, you keep adding and adding.
Yeah. No, this is great. All right, so I'll stop sharing. I think this is good.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Next, we have the memorial tree. Jeff, where do we stand on this?
Well, where we stand is the old tree was removed.
Okay.
So that is gone. I did research, found the owner through California and then to Pennsylvania. I spoke to her today that actually purchased the tree, the memorial tree. So I've given her a week to try and think about what species she would like. She is big into native species. And she told me it doesn't necessarily have to be an oak, but she said she would get back to me in about a week's time. She understands it may not be planted until spring,
Okay.
and she wants me to keep her up to date because her and her husband may want to come out and help plant it.
Oh, that's cool.
So, can we not get an oak, Jeff? Is that not possible? Is that what it was?
It was a white oak.
You cannot get a white oak right now that's dug and be able to be put in the ground. So I was advised against it by 2 nurseries and said that if it must be an oak, we should wait until spring.
Does it
Otherwise,
must it be an oak?
it doesn't have to be. Paul was asking, but to me, I want to leave it up to the young lady who originally purchased the memorial tree and see what she comes back with.
So are you saying it can't be dug, just we're out of stock? Is that the problem? Or
Correct.
Okay, I understand. And then, is that through Clark Brothers or somewhere else?
Clark Brothers and somewhere else.
Great, great. Thanks for looking it up.
You're welcome.
All right. New business. Volunteer Day, September 7th. So this Saturday at 8 a.m., which is, but we're going to do it. So I have a couple of like little things out on Facebook trying to get people to come. The whole idea is I just want to get as much of the public as possible. So I don't know if anyone saw it on Facebook. I kind of threw a little like, oh, does any student need volunteer hours? Like I'm trying to pick little like ideas to get people to come out and really engage.
I think the student hours is a great idea. I feel really bad. My high school has a cross country meet that morning. But I'll definitely, if you want me to, I could share it with our school.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I'll share it with the school and see if, because they're supposed to do, I think 20 hours community, 20 hours school, 20 hours. So this might be a great community activity.
That's great.
Yeah.
I've never.
Oh, go ahead.
So I had also put something out on Facebook, a little video, so I can at least tell that 200 people have watched the video. I'm not saying 200 people are coming. I'm saying 200 people have watched it.
What was the video?
It shows people running. One shows people running through the woods, another one walking, and it talks about the trail cleanup day. September 7th, 8 a.m. Please bring your glasses, shovels, anything that you can bring, and why we're doing it.
Mhm.
So, when we walked the trails the other day, and I actually kept walking, Dave, after you left, I walked the other loops, but I didn't actually see much work to do. So I think, do we know, Bob or Jeff, do we have like areas picked out so when crews show up, we can say, you go over here to this red trail intersection, or you go over to that one? And just-
Well, I feel it's all going to depend on how many people show up. So I don't know whether we're getting 5 or 50.
So I guess another way to do it
Like,
is like,
if-
do you have a list of work that needs to get done that could accommodate 5 people versus if you get 50 people? So if you got 50 people show up, is there a list of to-do items that 50 people could get engaged with?
A total of 50, I don't know that there's enough work for that, Dave. But what
Yeah.
I would like to do is divide people up that have the equipment, like between chainsaws and weed eaters. Let them go at each end and then have people follow up behind with either a leaf blower and or pick up sticks, so it doesn't
So I
interfere.
see, yeah, so they can
with-
just walk the whole trail with.
Right.
And okay.
So I don't want anyone to go outside of their comfort zone for stuff.
And then
So
we had, I'm sorry, we had done the cleanup a while ago, like 2 years ago, and there was, I'm saying is like if the skill level is like high school students and like you don't want them using equipment, there was still trash in the Franklin Preserve. I mean, there's always like something that can be done. So if it's a high school kid and you don't want them doing something, if Jeff could direct them to do something that is low level skill.
yeah,
Well, to me, that would be picking up sticks and walking through the trail.
Yeah, okay.
let me get to my Zoom. I'm gonna share my screen again, just real quick.
Dave, did you
Talk
get
about
down there and
potential.
cut that tree up?
There we
Jeff,
go.
would you bring gloves and like trash bags in case there was trash cleanup?
Well, I
Does
do
the township
have,
that?
I do have trash bags. I have some gloves, but I'm not gonna have enough gloves to outfit everybody.
Sure. I just wasn't sure if there were like,
Um,
2 high school kids that showed up, if we could
Oh,
send
I
them
could-
on their way with some gloves
I
and
could
trash.
probably come up with 3 or 4 pairs of gloves.
Okay.
So
I have
Um,
about 10 people coming.
that's great.
Okay.
So when
All
you
right, guys, let's get the public.
Oh yeah, so I think that's, and I think the more, so getting the public to show up to stuff it's absolutely possible. It just takes time to build an audience. So
Mhm.
the more we have these and the more regular they are, and the more people will kind of show up. And to Jen's suggestion of like, hey, should the high school team start running the park, or could they? That's another awesome way to get people out, and like their parents and those kids and like the mountain bike team, all these people. We have a really big group of volunteers. So I'm saying that, so don't get discouraged if a whole bunch of people don't show up,
I know.
because it's a slow growth thing.
Yes, it is.
I've been on the board for
Um,
4 years.
So,
I know.
So one of the things that I would suggest, Jeff, when we talk about walking, is like this. Yeah, I think you know all this, but this trail often needs help. Particularly this area usually needs weeding. These loops often
It's-
need weeding and cutting. There's always,
so
stuff.
that's what I walked, and it's in the red part's in good shape. I did not walk the loops.
Okay, good. So check that out. And just and then just have people walk the trails.
No, yeah, we'll divide people up. If we get more people, we get done sooner.
Yeah.
Sometimes people peter out at an hour and a half and some wait till 3 hours. So it's all in what their comfort level is.
Yeah, and I mean, you also have sports season starting, and so people are, if people can come, I mean, people are gonna have to leave for, kid obligations too.
Yeah, I
would
got a
think. I
baseball
mean,
game.
it's fall season.
Jeff, I was out at the park yesterday and it's really weedy down by the creek. Do you guys not take that out because it's to protect the creek, or it looks like people had like been cutting through it. I don't know if that's something that you guys do trim,
Where?
Where?
like down by the creek.
She's talking about in front of the fishing pier.
Yeah.
Oh, right here.
Okay.
Is it allowed to be weed whacked? I didn't know. Like
Oh,
we It looked like it had a lot more weeds. It could just be the summer, like it's
Yeah.
just was such a wet summer that it's
this-
just a lot weedier than
This
normal.
should be clear. This is where people go and sit, and so this should all be clear.
Yeah, it's like it's taller than me, the weeds.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's not right.
But I also,
This-
when Eric and I were there, we were like, well, maybe they're leaving it to protect the creek. I didn't know. From runoff.
I don't know. I mean, if you're talking about that flat area where
Yeah.
I guess it's like right here. It's not that big. This little flat area is
Yeah,
they-
like where like the cement wall is right there. By
Yeah.
the steps.
Yeah, that should be clear.
Okay.
There's an area that they can help right there.
Yeah, yeah. So what I was going to caution though is, well, you know, we've done a lot of these trail projects, and if you don't have something specific and you just say walk the trail, sometimes people get bored and don't feel useful, and then they don't come back. Like I think having a handful of specific activities like go clear this tree, or what you just said,
Mhm.
go clear those
Yeah.
weeds at the bridge. Like that's very
Mhm.
helpful.
Yeah.
And then they feel like they've
Well-
accomplished something and they feel like they've contributed.
Yep, I agree.
Jeff and Bob and I were gonna go out this Friday. If anyone wants to come, I think Jeff and Bob are no longer coming, but we can still go out and see what areas, like Jen, if you want to check out that like bottom by the
Yeah,
creek or
that's
something.
like bring this map, Mary, and put a circle where you think it needs work. Like that would be the best thing to do.
Guys, I think you're really starting to confuse all this. It's a no-brainer just to walk the trails. And it doesn't hurt if there's 10 or 15 people walking those trails. And we get most of it cleaned up.
But you want to involve the public though. The
I
whole
think
point
I-
is community
But
engagement.
let's not count on the public because they're not showing up right now.
How do you know, Bob?
Because we don't have anybody signed up on a website or even called the township about it.
Well, I
For
think I agree, we don't need to overthink it. But if, Mary and the group wants to walk around and circle problem areas and just have a map with circles on it, I don't think that's too much. Just in case, like if you have a group of people show up with shovels and just
Yeah,
to
it could
say,
be like a wish list. Like I mean,
there you go.
and we can prioritize what is,
but you're right.
All right, well, hold on. Can I
Priority
interject real
is to
quick?
make things
Can I
clear
interject?
for the- Forget it. Go.
Okay, I just want to bring up trail days as well, which is like 2 down. I think maybe for this, we get just a couple people out, look what needs to get done. But when we start doing trail days, like repetitively, maybe then we could all go out and really like circle things, get real more nitpicky than we will
That's
this
probably-
Saturday.
Agree.
I wonder, that's a good point. And I wonder if what frequency do we want to do these at?
Well, I have a little thing I made up, but it was the second Saturday of the month.
Okay.
What I wanted it to be was the second Saturday following the first Thursday, because then it would always be before the Board of Supervisors meeting. But I was like,
Oh.
okay, yeah, I can't do that. So,
It's okay.
but the one discussion would be like, I know everybody like FSA and stuff likes to start at 8, but like the public, you'll get more public if you start at 9. And with the summer being over, it's not going to be as like dead hot at 9 as it would have been, mid-August.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that's a good point. I would have to bring my kids with me if I was going to do any sort of volunteer day, and I could not get them anywhere at 8 on a Saturday.
Yeah, but as we get further in the year, it's still gonna be half dark, at 8 o'clock. So we will be moving it forward, right, to 9.
9 sounds good, Mary.
Okay.
You asked about the frequency, Dave. I know the New Garden Trail group, they do it once a month for spring and summer. The growing season, not year round. And then the Delaware Trail Spinners, we're also doing it monthly, but I don't know what they do now. That was years ago.
I like the idea of doing it once a month. And that's the thing too, is if we do have little specific projects, it'll be like, oh, okay, 5 people showed up, killer. And you have something to do every month, you know?
Yeah. You're
'Cause then
targeting
it's
a park or
consistent.
trail.
Yeah, I agree. I don't disagree. I guess my question would be, my one question on New Garden is, what is the responsibilities associated with that volunteer group? So is it like mowing? Is it clearing? Is it So once a month in spring and summer would be great if they're doing, if they're clearing out the weeds here and cutting out the weeds here.
It's routine maintenance. It's weed whacking and hedge trimmers mostly. And if
Okay.
maybe a chainsaw if something big happened, but
Yep.
it's what Matt does. It's what Matt does for us right now.
Yep.
But nobody's doing it on the non-biking trails, and no one's doing it in Keene Preserve, Franklin Preserve, other areas
Okay.
that we should also attend to.
That's a good point. So I guess the other, so having that monthly, having a monthly cadence will help attendance for sure. Having a broad array of responsibilities, like they're going to clear the weeds, they're going to mow any grass, they're going to keep everything pretty. And then maybe when you get to like October, November, you rotate parks. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, I don't know how much maintenance like the Keene Trail needs. Is it a monthly thing? Is it a bi-monthly thing?
Monthly. Yeah.
Okay. So
And then all trails that are exposed to the sun need monthly, and then
Yeah.
the more deeper woods you get, the less it needs.
So is the thought that again, early days with this, but we have we have monthly trail days. Everyone meets at Crossan, and then they go off to the various parks to do their maintenance, or do you pick a park every month and work on that?
One thing that like I said, I made a little thing. Obviously I'm going to show people. But I have it so that the QR code, it says like scan me for details, and you scan it and it'll take you to the Facebook page, and then you
Okay.
can just put whatever you want on the Facebook page.
Like which park you want to help
Yeah.
at?
Yeah. I would pick the park because
Yeah.
they don't need to drive to the wrong place first. Like the group would decide ahead of time, hey, the red trail at Bamshire needs help. That's the target this time. Or there's a tree down in Franklin. Let's go focus on that.
So you or somebody from the pro would manage the rotation.
Mhm.
Okay,
That's the
that makes sense to
suggestion.
me.
Yeah.
And what I found at New Garden is you get the same 6 to 12 people showing up. That's it. It's just the same people coming.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of great people in this township, but people are super busy. I mean, I know I have a hard time getting out on Saturday because Saturday is baseball, so I'm going to be at Little League, so, and swim team and everything else. So
You sports parents are crazy.
we're busy, that's for sure.
I'm just mad my college kids are still doing it. I thought they'd be done by now, but just to be the annoying person too, just to remind everybody, are we getting the volunteer form signed? That's just a nerve thing for me.
Yes, there will be the
Waiver.
release form.
Yes,
Oh, we have a
it will
waiver.
be present, yes.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know Jeff's really good about having them in the box outside the township if we need to grab them. So
Oh, question about the volunteer day, Jeff. Are there arrows somewhere that I could use to like point people to the East Meadow?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Do you mind if I pick them up on Friday?
Not at all.
All right, cool. Thank you. All right. Any other things on the volunteer day?
if I just ask Jeff one question when we're talking about the volunteer, if I do ask the high school to put it up on their Facebook, it's a private school. Sometimes they do just check for background reasons. Jeff, is it okay? Would I ask them to just reach out to Stacy? Sometimes they just call in to check to make sure it's like a real volunteer opportunity and not.
Just have them call the township. Again, let's not overthink it.
Okay, it's
So
just a
have-
safety
have-
background
Have
thing.
them call the township and then lay out what they would like to do. And, we'd love to work with them.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
All right. Are we good? Moving on to budget discussion. So we had a budget at one point. For those of us who've been on the board since the beginning, we know this. And I am just curious about what everyone thinks about the budget discussion. And if you think the pro should have a budget, I guess, Dave, this would be mostly for you.
Yeah.
Maybe just kind of
So-
explain what happened.
Sure. So, oh, I can stop sharing here. So we had, so let me start from the beginning. The question was, well, how much money do we want to spend every month on pro stuff, like, park, rec, open space stuff? And this was back in 2020, and we said, well, why don't we earmark $20,000 at that time for pro expenses.
Mhm.
Those were essentially extension of the general fund or our park fund. Excuse me. And then it just kind of sat there. We spent money on pro activities. We usually didn't take it out of the pro budget. So we didn't really use that money earmarked. And then this year, we got hit with for the budget discussion this year, we had a major item, and that was our MS4 requirements. And that was, and I'm not exaggerating, but a potential bankruptcy situation. Like, it was millions and millions of dollars. Our engineering firm said, you got to come up with millions of dollars every year to pay for this. So we said, all right, well, we need to reorganize our budget so that we can pay them what they're asking for. So we reorganized the budget. So part of that discussion was we rolled back all of park spending into the park fund and the general fund. From a practical standpoint, it doesn't really change much for the pro. Because we spend money for the pro, the way we spend money with the pro is the pro comes to us with a proposal and a cost, and we approve it or we don't approve it. And if it went over the $20,000, we paid for it. If it didn't, there were items that we didn't put into the pro. So it was a mess. Like, what do we pay for in the pro? What do we don't? So I'm saying that we got rid of it this year. We took it out because of this MS4 redesign. We took a lot of things out and reorganized it so we could pay for this MS4. Right now, the pro doesn't have its own separate line item budget, which in my mind, in a fundamental sense, doesn't really change much, because the way the pro operates is you come up with a program for the year. It's funny because I actually looked this up, because I know, Mary, you'd ask me, is the pro a board or a committee?
Yeah.
And so am I sharing my screen?
No.
No, let me share my screen. So I can answer that. And the answer is, depending on your point of view, yes to both. So to answer a lot of your questions, you can actually go to our code of ordinances. Can I move this around? I don't know how to get rid of this thing. Oh, look at that. So code of ordinances, and in the code of ordinances is our municipal code. And this is all the rules and regulations that our specific township has to abide by.
Mm-hmm.
You're under administration and government, boards and commissions. And then we've got a planning commission, historical commission, and Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Board. I can tell you, with all honesty, I don't think we ever considered the implications of calling it a board, committee, or a commission, whatever. We just called it the Park and Rec Open Space Board. And in here is the rules by which the pro operates. And we can talk about a couple of different things. One is the fundamental difference between a board and a committee is largely irrelevant, because the pro board has an advisory role. So the board is to be an advisory and shall coordinate its activities with the Board of Supervisors, Planning Commission, and other such local government bodies. So like all of our commissions and boards, they are advisory to the Board of Supervisors. There's organization and stuff. then the bottom line is the annual budget. So the way we're supposed to do it, which we haven't been doing it this way, is that at the annually, it doesn't necessarily need to be during an org meeting, but every year you would submit for approval a proposed budget based on project proposals that you want to put forward.
Okay.
So that's like the letter of the law is every year you guys are supposed to come up with a list of project proposals and what the costs are going to be, and then the board's supposed to approve them, and you'll get the money to do those projects. Now, in reality, our world doesn't really work like that. Like we think about things throughout the year and we come up with projects throughout the year. And so my personal preference and the way we've functionally been operating is the pro comes to the board, the pro comes up with a concept, right? Well, I'll make one up. We need a new map for the township, and we need to hire a mapping organization and a printer, and it's going to cost us, $10,000 to do that. Right?
I'll take it.
All this stuff up, making it all up, but that's what. So then you come to the board, and we'll say, you know what, you're right. We don't have a map. We need someone to do it. And if are you sure it's 10 grand? Can we get a better price? And then we'll push back because that's what we're supposed to do. And then you come back and say no, and then we vote and say, okay, we need to have a map. It's going to cost us $10,000. Here's the $10,000. We have the money in the budget. We'll pay for it. Okay. So I like it that better because it's much more opportunistic, and it gets rid of us saying, well, sorry guys, you spent your 20 grand. No more projects for you this year. Right. So long story short, so I think I answered the question. First question was, do we have the pro budget? No, we had to reorganize our budget this year because we were facing a pretty serious financial situation. And then two, my disposition is I would prefer not to have one specifically allotted to the pro. One, because you have to go to the board anyway with your project proposals to present what it's going to cost, and it puts an artificial cap. It almost puts an artificial value on what this organization can do, right? So that's my point. That's my position. Because I think we probably spend a lot more than that every year on park, rec, and open space stuff. We certainly did this year. So I don't know what we necessarily need a number in that slot. And it also, one thing that it does do is it helps avoid, well, I think I already said it, it helps avoid putting this artificial cap on what a project should cost. No.
Dave, can I ask a question?
Of course.
So you said that we've probably surpassed maybe that $20,000 limit. What specifically, I mean, I guess the pro board itself is not asking for funding really for anything. And so just out of my curiosity, because I haven't been around maybe long enough, what kind of comes out of that parks budget?
So we're paying for a certain amount of trail maintenance and mowing. We're paying for open space. So we had a number of open space projects over the last few years.
All that isn't that all delineated with other things in the park budget though? Because there's park budget and then there's park improvement, and the park improvement is what was taken away, the 21,000 there. So it doesn't account for mowing and all that.
I forget how we I don't remember what that line item was called, Mary, to be honest. But my point of view is it's largely semantics, like how we play with the money. If we feel like it's something that we want to do and it's worth the money, we're going to pay for it, right? Mm-hmm. If there's benefit, and at the end of the day, the pro has to go to, there's a couple of reasons that I like it this way. Is one, the pro has to come to the board and get approval for projects and funding anyway. And I don't want to, and one of the conversations that I don't want to have is, well, we've already spent $10,000 or $15,000 on this, that, or the other thing, and they're all valuable things. And now they want another $10,000 for this thing, and they only have a $20,000 budget. I don't like if we have the money and we want to do it, we will do it. And I've had this conversation with other supervisors individually, and they kind of feel the same way. It's like, we all have the same vision for what we want to do with the parks and what we want to do with community involvement. We're trying to get, that's kind of the goal of this pro, really, right? As to get the community more involved. And if we want to do something, we'll spend the money on it. And if we like your proposal, we'll spend the money on it. And if it's good enough, and it's valuable enough to the township, we shouldn't have to have the conversation, but they only have $20,000 to spend or $15,000 to spend. Like that's my personal view. Because it's sort of like, how do we, like Bob, I like how Bob thinks, like, let's just get to the simplest possible conversation we can to get the thing done. And this, in my mind, simplifies that conversation. That institutes an artificial hurdle that doesn't need to be there. Because you're not guaranteed to get it anyway, right?
Mhm.
And it's, and I don't remember why we decided to do it that way. But this was and I also don't want to make you guys say at the beginning of every year in January, you need to come with your 3 or 4 proposals and your budget. And if you don't have anything, you don't get anything, which is how it's set up here in the ordinance.
Okay.
I'd rather have it do it how we're doing it now, where we have a conversation, we get things done, and just we move on. So I don't know if I've satisfied your curiosity or not, but that's how I feel, and that's how we got here.
Okay. Does anyone have any other questions?
I just want to point out again, and this is kind of separate, part of what Dave you were saying was the board versus committee. I said this months ago. I've said it kind of like consistently. Whatever we're going to be called, and it seems like we were delineated as the board. I think consistently that's what we should be called in the community.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Because it's kind of all over the place. People call us
I see.
the board.
So that was one. So yes. So in our municipal code, it is the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Board.
Okay.
That is correct. That is
Okay.
how you should be referred to.
What was it? Say it again.
And I'm not sure if that's why Mary asked you, but when you brought that up, I was thinking, I know.
Well, I don't think honestly, Andrea, I haven't looked at this since 2020, so it was kind of good for me to reread it.
Wait, Dave, what did you
go,
say? You said board, or did you say committee? I didn't hear what you said.
Right here in the municipal code.
Which do you want us to say? You want us to say board?
Board is what it's called.
It's in the law.
Now the problem is on the website.
It says committee.
It says committee.
But then it says board members.
Well, Parks, Recreation, Open Space has their own header at the top.
I don't remember who made this page. I may have made this page and messed this up.
Well, let's just change it to board. No big deal, right?
I wonder if I still have editing access. I mean, that's easy to do. I can just do it here. But it is not a committee. It is a board. Now, the thing that I want to stress is that words have meanings, and there's a difference between a committee and a board. Boards typically have decision-making ability. Committees don't. But in the municipal code, we delineated that this is an advisory role that coordinates with the board of supervisors, planning commission, and other local government bodies. So that's why I pointed that out. Was you should be just consider that when you talk about border.
But Dave, I think
I
we
probably
understand.
use it interchangeably, but however you want, but I think it should be aligned with what we call ourselves in the municipal code.
Oh,
And
definitely. So it
this
should
is the
definitely.
law, literal law of Franklin Township.
Yeah.
So Parks and
Alright.
Rec open spaces.
I don't think it
board
really
is the official title in the
honestly
municipal code.
matters. Again, I think
It should be reflected in our township website correctly. And then if you guys have any questions about like how you're supposed to work and behave, and what your responsibilities are, that's in here. So
Okay.
and again, like we haven't really been following this part because I think this is a little too restrictive, this annual budget. Like you guys have to come up with your projects before January, or at some annual
We did it in
frequency, and
2020.
we don't follow that. That's too messy. Like I want to have flexibility throughout the year.
And
so
the
we can make
flexibility is written in there
throughout the
because
year.
at such times
Um,
it's directed by this board of supervisors. So it
so-
does give the flexibility is when you request it.
All
we'll
right.
budget.
Yeah.
Clear? Is everyone here?
I think everyone's fine on
Mary, I think you're muted.
me.
No,
Am
we
I
can,
muted?
Can't
we
hear
can hear Dave. We can hear you. I don't think you can hear us.
I can't hear you.
Okay. Oh, well, if you can't hear me, yeah, we gotta fix that.
I can hear you, Mary.
I can't
Okay.
hear.
Uh-oh.
I know.
Maybe it's me.
I think it is.
Yeah, because
We've
Can
been trying
everybody
to
hear
talk.
me?
Yeah.
I can hear
Thumbs up.
Dave.
Okay.
All
Can
right,
anybody hear Mary?
Can we
Yeah.
hear me?
here, Mary.
Yes.
I can't hear Mary.
Oh
You
no!
cannot?
I can't hear anybody.
Oh
Oh my
no!
gosh, what's going on? So it's
Oh,
me.
goodness.
I'm the problem.
Yes.
We can hear you.
All right. Paul,
Yeah, I
did you have
can't
a
hear
question
anybody all of a sudden.
for Dave, or did you have a question for me?
I was just trying to comment that we're clear on
There
our
we go.
responsibility. Can you hear us,
Sorry.
Dave?
I think my son put on his Xbox headset and it connected to my computer. So he was listening to the pro meeting.
So Dave, I was trying to just add in that we're clear on our responsibilities, and I don't think anyone's trying to take authority by calling us a board. And, we know that we can't make decisions in financial, we can't spend money without the board of supervisors. So we just wanted to clarify what it is so that it's consistent on our literature and website. That's all. There was no effort to do anything else.
Yep, no, 100%.
You
Yeah.
cleared it. We're good. Let's move to the next topic because it's getting late.
All right.
All right. Trail days. We kind of did that. Let's move to Fall Fest. What do we need printed? So hopefully I'll have this map done, and I say we get one big printed of the map, like the one, and then just have a QR code in the top and do it that way.
Did you talk to Stacy if she still had anything left over from last year? Any of the handouts or like map? Didn't we have big maps on the table?
They're
We
gone.
did.
Those were paper.
Yeah,
Were they?
we did.
Yeah, they were paper though. Yeah. Jeff, are they around the township building or no?
I have no idea whatsoever.
Yeah,
Where-
yeah. I mean, they're not that bad to print.
Yeah, just
I
print.
think we have a big printer. We can.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have a plotter.
Printed them last year for us.
Yeah.
Mary, it's easy. Just
Okay.
tell the staff what you want, how much, we'll print it, we'll get it done.
Just
Alright,
one,
sounds
Mary.
great.
One of each preserve would be my recommendation.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
just let me know what you want, Mary.
Alrighty, sounds good.
I do think I just want to. Last year we had serious issues with them rolling up and blowing away, and so I think whoever attends, whoever our volunteers are for that day, we should keep that in mind and maybe plan to bring something to weigh them down on the table.
Make a suggestion about something that we've used at the schools. If you buy one of those big pieces of clear tablecloths that you can get at Walmart, then you can put the maps under it, and then you put the tablecloth.
Ooh, that's brilliant.
That's a
That's
great
a good
idea.
idea.
And then if it rains, it keeps it safe. They sell it at they sell it at the Elkton Walmart. I don't know if they sell it at the other one. It's like the big tablecloth sheets that you can buy in clear.
Okay.
Let me know if you have a hard time finding it. I could try to.
Okay.
That's
Now,
a great idea.
who can volunteer for Fall Fest? At the
Mary?
pro booth, I
I
should
might
say.
need to get a sports schedule. My daughter has a game at Temple. I'm just not sure if it's morning, afternoon, but I hope to know by this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't got our schedule yet, Mary. So I was there last year. I assume I'll be there this year. I'm just not sure when.
Okay.
I'll be there all day bouncing in and out all over the place, so.
Okay.
That's the
playing
14th,
again?
correct?
Hey, you'll be singing.
That's one of the part of the bouncing.
Nice. Good
Mary,
job.
it's the 14th, correct?
Yes.
So we've got a 2 o'clock soccer game in Wilmington, I guess at the field house. And so I don't really know what my availability is. My guess is if I can come, it's late because I'll have to be there early. And
What
Well,
time do you
I'll
have to be in
try my best.
Wilmington?
I guess we probably need to be there at 1:15 to warm up before the game. So if it takes me a half an hour to get there, I'm not sure I'm much help to anyone because it starts at noon, right?
Yeah, but we'll have to set up. That's the only thing is I don't want to be left there alone to set up.
I'd be happy to come over and set up. I could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You doing it Friday night for setup, or do you want somebody to come and meet, like to plot it?
At 9 o'clock is when everyone's meeting at the township, or I'm
What is-
sorry, at the park.
what is set up though? Who's setting up the tents? We are, or what, like, or who's providing the tent?
I don't know if Jeff, you want to take this or you want me to?
If you know, go ahead and say it.
Okay. I know that the township has provided the tents for a couple of the township stuff. And then it was, I believe, a $25 pay to get a spot, and you have to bring your own, correct, Jeff?
Correct.
I didn't get that. So are we getting a tent or we have to bring
We
our
are.
own?
Yes, we are getting, no. The township is providing a tent for the pro board.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Yes,
And
yes.
we have to set it up, or the township is setting it? Like, are they renting it from somebody or?
They're
That-
renting it and it will be put up.
There you
Okay,
go.
so we don't have to erect the tent. So maybe we have to bring a table or something?
The table was there last year.
I would suggest bringing a table.
Okay. Does anyone have a table?
Yeah, I have a
Because-
table.
Okay, Keller. All right.
Um,
Can you,
So
can
Jeff,
you
are
bring
we
that
not
to
gonna have,
set up?
we're not gonna have tables? Or what's the situation with the tables?
I think we're getting some, Dave. I just can't commit and say how many right now.
Okay,
Because we've turned it from if the vendor's coming, they need to bring their own tables and chairs.
Mhm.
yeah, I was just thinking about township groups, if we.
Oh,
do-
township groups, I think, are going to be covered.
Alright, so that's what we're asking is.
Yeah.
Does the pro need to bring
So
their
then
own
the pro
table?
board would get a table.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. What else was
Mary?
there for Fall Fest? Someone's talking.
Me.
Yes?
Kyle.
Yes, Kyle.
I think we need to put on the open space brochures and the fact sheet too on the table. We did that last year, I think.
Okay,
So
yeah, that's a good idea.
okay.
And so what does setting up mean then, Mary? It's bringing
I
the
guess just
papers and the
showing
map.
up. Yeah. Never mind.
I'll be there to help you. All we're gonna do is put out the maps and the paperwork and
Okay.
Yeah.
make sure it doesn't go away.
Bring chairs.
Okay. There was something else for Fall Fest that I had to ask, and now I'm totally blanking.
Oh, where are we gonna be? Is it same, Jeff, we're up by the band or with the township tent, or are we down with the
We're-
vendors?
We're
Go ahead, Mary.
so sorry. We're down with the vendors. This year we're all kind of interspersed with everybody. The sponsors, which are kind of like the VIP vendors, will be back away from all that. But all the vendors, including us, will be around the outfield of the baseball field.
Where's the township tent, or does the township have a tent, like the
We're,
board of
we're not,
supervisors?
we're not doing a tent this year because none of us could man a tent. So it was silly for us. We're gonna have an information booth with information up closer to the building, but we're not gonna have a township tent.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Mary,
What?
I still have these from last year, our open space brochure that
Oh,
I think
awesome.
Stacy printed. So I've got a pile of those I'll put aside for it.
Okay.
Okay.
Does anyone want to do an interview with Gary Moore? I told him I would do it for the pro, but I didn't know if anyone else wanted to speak up or.
Who's Gary Moore?
He's actually doing a live broadcast, like his podcast from the Fall Fest. So he's gonna be what's the word I'm looking for?
He's a podcaster.
Yeah, he's a podcaster. So he's gonna be podcasting, broadcasting. There we go.
He lives in
Throughout
Franklin
the
Township.
festival.
He lives in Franklin Township.
Mhm. He's really nice.
I will
Do we
not
need to
volunteer.
schedule like does it need to be like an official scheduled time or?
What's his focus of his podcast before we agree to get interviewed by this guy?
Well, it's all set up. Jeff, do you want to go ahead?
You don't want to know. It's a surprise.
Yeah.
It was eventually just to kind of be an MC, and then it's developed into maybe if could be he would interview people. So I can say on behalf of the farmers, because I've asked, they've all politely declined.
He's
Well,
just
yeah.
gonna,
Surprise
just-
me.
he's just gonna do some of the vendors. He's gonna intersperse with Bob's music. So whenever Bob's not playing or not doing the music, then he'll do some, just interviews with vendors and do the emceeing for the event.
That's great. Well, I'm happy to talk to him. I just don't want to end up being on some like ultra crazy conspiracy podcast.
Yeah, no.
I'd have to apologize or get canceled or
Yeah, no.
No, he's going to live stream it to Facebook, Dave.
Gonna get right back to work.
Yeah.
Jeff, where's he gonna be?
He's going to be up by the pavilion now. He
Yeah.
originally started at the brick building, and now he's down by the pavilion.
So he's nowhere near me.
Well, kind of.
He's going to be across from you.
Across from you.
Okay, so
is he going to be recording the music?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he won't be recording while Bob's playing. He'll be only doing it when Bob's not playing.
yeah, we're trying to figure out the scheduling for
Yeah.
that now.
Okay.
So we have to move this meeting along because I need to go practice.
All right.
All right.
Good
One more thing
job,
about Fall
Bob.
Fest. One more thing about Fall Fest. We are going to do a raffle. I have a gift certificate from the Landenberg store to give away. I don't know if anyone wants to offer getting a gift certificate from one of their, like, I don't know, wherever you frequent.
Hair salon, coffee shop,
Yeah,
restaurant, mechanic.
mechanic. I'll take that one.
It's a great idea.
I'll think about that.
All right. Good idea, Bob.
Thanks.
Pool water.
Okay. Moving along. Signs for preserved farmland. We did this years ago. We looked into this and it kind of went nowhere. Paul, you sent me 2 photos, correct?
Yeah, but I have several more from years past. I've sent them, every couple of years. But I would propose, how about Kyle's our graphic designer. How about I work with her and we come up with a few drafts and just show it to you next month, and you guys, can comment on it, and then after a few revisions, we can bring it to the Board of Supervisors, see if they like it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think I in general, I think Paul and I talked a little bit about this on Friday, and I love the idea because I think people don't really understand the work that we do to kind of preserve all of this open space, and it'd be nice to have something that says, hey, this farm has been preserved by funds from blah blah blah, whatever it's going to say. I don't know what it's going to say. You guys will come up with some good
I can show you. Let me show you a few right here.
Sure. But I like the idea. I think I always anticipate, like, in my nature, I always think about what the problems are going to be. And I think one of the, the discussion we'll have probably at the board is really about the need for the landowner's approval and talking to them. And I don't think for the most part, I'm sure most of the folks will be happy to have something like that
So,
on their
I would,
trail.
yeah, no question, you absolutely need participation or permission from the landowner. Like, no one's forcing anything. And I would propose that any future easements that you try to get that written into the easement, just as we did with the Holmesy property. The Holmesy property has the allowance for a sign. And so any future ones, you might do that because the current landowner might allow it, but then the next one would not, so doing it on a handshake might work, and in the future it might not. And I would propose, like the Kennett Land Trust, it's just a very small, modest sign, not a big neon glaring thing that
Right.
catches attention, but just a
Something tasteful.
modest sign that explains that it's a preserved farm.
We looked at this last year, not that long ago. I remember presenting something to the board, and I'll find those pictures and I can send them to you, Paul.
I think you're right. I think we talked about it and then we just never
We
got back
definitely
to it.
did.
Well,
Yeah,
but now we have Kyle. Kyle's our graphic designer.
Perfect. That's what we need. Yeah, because I think it's important, just to point out some of these things. It's
So can I share, Jeff?
Yes, you can.
So I can't find the one from Kennett Land Trust, which is my favorite. Tell me when you can see my screen.
We
I
can.
can. Looks good.
So as I drive around, like I took one of the Lancaster Land Trust on Saturday. So I'll show you that one. So this is a small oval. You can see it's just on a post. Just
I like this lower left one.
what's that?
I like the lower left one. Maybe you can scroll up.
Lower
Yeah,
left. This is Maryland. This is a Maryland one. I see them. I believe it's Maryland. Preserve farmland, private land, public legacy. That's pretty
beautiful. Good. Yeah, I like
And
What's
then-
up at the what's at Goodwin now? Isn't there a sign at Goodwin?
No,
That has-
that's the Goodwin Preserve itself. It just says Goodwin Preserve, but the Goodwin
okay.
farm around it has nothing.
Okay.
So here's a small one on a post.
Mm.
Here's a little bit nicer one. But I think a key is this private property, that.
Yeah, you gotta say that.
This, please respect private property. We want to make it clear, it's not a park. We're just saying it's a preserved farmland. It doesn't mean you can walk on it. So I'm leaning toward that. Here's some more. Lehigh County Ag Land Preservation Board. A nice little graphic on them. Northampton County Preserved Farmland. Preserved Farm, Maryland Ag Land Preservation Program. And this private farm is permanently preserved. So again, they're saying it's private, stay the hell off. By the citizens of Montgomery County through the Farmland Preservation Program. So I think it's some nice options. Then here's the picture I took this weekend. I'm sorry if you can't see it. Preserved farm. This farm preserved by Lancaster Farmland Trust. So I think that looks sharp. And I like how they have a little metal bracket hanging, makes it, dresses it up a little bit. Otherwise, it's a very inexpensive sign.
Okay.
And this one reminds you, this view, Adirondack Land Trust. I took this one, I guess, last summer. Learn more, and there's your QR code. So I thought that was pretty
That's
neat.
cute,
How they're
yeah.
saying, hey, if you like what you see, learn how it happened,
Yep. No, I like the idea. I like that there's lots of different options, and I think it's important. It's it should be celebrated, and when we talk about cheap, expensive, it's not like we're putting up 100 of these things. We put up maybe 3 or 4 of them, and
Right.
and so we want to do it. If we're going to do it, and the board agrees, we want to pick something that looks nice and that's fitting with Franklin Township. The Franklin Township's motif and rural legacy. So.
All right. Well, that was all I want to talk. Let's move on to the next one. I know Bob's got to go, but thank you for listening to that. So
Yeah, I
I'll
think it's a
commit
great
to work
idea.
with Kyle if she'll do that.
I just think
Go
farm-
ahead.
needs to be written like first. I just think that
I agree with you.
I agree with that, yeah.
What was that?
the word private farm like needs to be written first and foremost above everything else, because some of them were a little more confusing than others.
Yep.
And I feel like with all our trails, like the one that the Gagan Trail and stuff like that, it could get mixed in with something like that. It needs to be outlined that it's private first and foremost.
Yeah, I agree 100% because that's
There's one you sent me, Paul, that I'll share with you guys if you just or I can send it as well.
Yeah.
But one that I think Paul sent. Jeff, could you give me the option to share, please?
You have it.
Thank you. I thought this was a nice sign. You sent this to us. See, can you see that?
Oh,
It says,
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that one a lot. It's very simple. It could kind of be
Mhm.
put, you know, and I mean, maybe we have like more prominent signs and then, you know, kind of in other areas, we do something a little bit smaller that, you know,
Yeah.
same
No,
same look.
great on like the Gagan Trail.
Which it's
Where
Yeah.
you're walking the trail and there might be a big sign on the road and then you walk the trail and there's another little sign here because we have signposts all over that trail. I usually call it the Ford Farm Trail, but that trail. There's signposts all over. You just I like it. It's a good idea.
I think
we'll,
that's the
we'll
exact.
pull out the proposal and then we'll bring it to the board and see if we can get it done.
Okay, I'll send this to you, Kyle and Paul, so you guys can work on that.
Thanks.
All right. And now, okay, picnic tables. I'll just make this really quick. There are picnic tables that the wonderful FSA finished and redid and everything for Fall Fest. So I believe there are 7. I am not quite sure what is happening with them after Fall Fest, but I know that we were looking for tables for something. Oh, Bamshire. That's right. There's a table at Bamshire that needs replacing, right?
Yeah,
Am I wrong?
it has a little more life left in it, but I was saying it's going to need replacing maybe in the next year. And yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
It's not a rush. It's not like in danger or I fixed it so it'll last a little longer, but yeah, we could use one. And Jeff said, I think he has some extras.
Okay. All right. That was all about that one. And then we'll move it on through for Bob. Paul, this is you also, the kiosk at Bamshire.
I just wanted to mention that I've mentioned it, a while ago. I've half built a kiosk years ago. And I didn't want to put it until the big bridge is done. And there's still 2 telephone poles we need to move out of the parking lot. Bob was going to grab a third one from the pole work on his street. So when we have that third one, we'll move them out of the way and put the kiosk up. So that would be a future project. But I don't want to move poles until we have all 3. Bob, do you know if have you seen any action on that?
There's been 0. And the one guy did tell me that, Verizon could be a year out before they get to it.
Okay.
So I'd say this spring, a year is probably getting close.
Well, maybe we don't wait. Maybe we just find a space to put the kiosk where it's not in danger of being damaged.
Can I ask a kiosk question when we're on the kiosks? I went out to the park yesterday and we were looking at the 2 kiosks, the one that's mostly finished for the bikes and then the one for the map. I don't know anything about building, but Eric mentioned that the cedar one, it doesn't have a drip edge, and it looks like water is getting up underneath the cedar shingles.
Yeah, it doesn't have a drip edge or a peak
Ridge cap.
ridge cap.
Did I miss?
I've reached out to the
Okay.
Boy Scout.
Okay, this has already
So
been.
they are on vacation this week.
Okay.
So he's going to come back. The father apologized, said that he did something similar at home and it hasn't leaked there. He seems very cooperative, so I'm working with him on it.
Okay, all right. I'm just glad you addressed it. They're both really beautiful. They both look great. It's just that it does look like the cedar one was going to get water damage, and I just didn't want him to have to rebuild it. All right.
Okay. Bob, I have a question for you real quick.
Go ahead.
For the kiosk, I'm so sorry.
I said, go ahead. If I don't know it, I'll make it up.
Sounds good. The kiosks the one that we're going to put up at Bamshire, you know how you have to put your tags on it when you're hunting? Is there one there at Bamshire now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is the FSA and the preserve or whatever, are we going on the same kiosk?
Yeah,
Or do you
that's,
guys do your own?
no, that's the plan. The one from the FSA, we would remove that and give them a space on the new one would be my plan so that it cleans the area up. The
Mhm.
one they have is just a, 2 4x4s and a piece of plywood. We'll dress it up a little bit.
Yeah,
And then the other was down in Crossan when you're going into Franklin, down where that new kiosk is. Is that the same? The FSA is going to be included on that?
yeah, are we gonna put a you are here map in there?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the whole purpose of the kiosk.
Yeah.
How big is that? That
It
map,
takes up
36
half
by
the real estate.
24.
36 by 24. So it's
That's
gonna,
the size that it is, yeah.
so it's gonna be 36 high, 24 wide.
Yeah, the idea is it takes up half of the board. I asked them to make the board 3x4. So we get 2 feet and you get 2 feet.
Okay.
Cool.
And then, I know hunting season's coming up here in a week or 10 days or something like that, 2 weeks. We haven't talked about it as an agenda item, but we have to make sure all the boards are up and the hunting signs and the posted new season and the boundaries are marked and all that.
We will let the board know like we're supposed to, that it's all done before we go in.
Okay. When is opening day?
I don't even
It
know.
also reminds me, I think I have to sign the charter.
I think it's the 5th. I think it's the 15th.
Oh, the day after fall. Well, at least it's not the day of Fall Fest.
So I have to
Well,
stop
no,
by the
that-
office.
It can't be
Don,
a
did you-
Sunday. It can't
Have
be
you
a
go in and
Sunday.
sign that yet? Don, have you signed that FSA charter? We're supposed to sign it. I don't think any of us have signed it yet. We haven't had a meeting.
I think it is the same day as Fall Fest.
Oh, wow. All right.
Bob?
Well, maybe we can have a hunting demonstration at Fall Fest.
There you go. We need a red jump, or not red, orange jumpsuit
Orange
fashion
jumper.
show. Yeah. All right. Sorry, moving on. Additional topics. Does anyone have anything else before we wrap it up?
I just want to thank everybody who's helping me decorate the little libraries. I know Bob and I have talked about it, and I'm thrilled that Andrea's boys and Mary's kids are starting to do the little libraries, and Kathy Goen and the St. John kids were doing the ones over at the office. So I am tickled pink. So thank you everybody for that.
Did they start the ones at the office yet?
Yeah, they've started. They're not finished, but they've started the one over there too.
You're not gonna give us preview
I,
picture?
I did talk to Tiffany St. John, and she said that they plan to go over, I think, tomorrow night and finish the one at the office.
That's awesome. I'm so excited. So, and then I'm gonna go with, I'm gonna find out from Jeff what to spray it, the clear spray to spray it with, so, and seal them and stuff like that. So,
And it will be done by Fall
I
Fest,
did
the
have a
one in the
question.
Healing Garden.
uh-huh.
What, Andrea?
I was gonna, well, you said something, and then I'll ask Dawn my question.
No, Mary,
What did you say about the
Mary's-
one in the Healing Garden?
Mary's Min was working on the one. He put the bird, but her other kids are gonna finish it.
Good.
Yeah, so we're all cooking with gas, so it's very exciting.
All right.
Dawn, you referenced the libraries, the little libraries as LFL in emails, and I am writing the newsletter for Stacy for the township, and I want to make sure that I'm calling them the right thing. What does LFL stand
They
for?
are
Little Free Library?
Little free libraries.
Free.
And that's the official name. If you look up Little Free Libraries on the internet, we're registered on the United States. Each one of them has a code, and we're on the map for Little Free Libraries. So
I love that.
That's
yes, so
cool.
look up Little Free Library, and that's what they are. And we are officially documented as Little Free Libraries, and we have 2 more in the township. So get with me, because there's at least 2 others that I know of in Franklin that I can tell you about. And I want to make sure we get all the kids' names right for everybody. You know all the kids.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure I was calling it the right thing for the
That's
for the
right.
newsletter. So
Yes.
that's perfect. Thank you.
Little free libraries. Yep.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Just looked it up. It looks like hunting season starts on the 21st of that matter, so it's not the,
Starts,
okay.
starts the 14th.
it does start
And
the
now,
14th.
Yeah, I'm pretty
That-
sure.
I just looked it up on Chester County, but I guess maybe it's different in Franklin. I don't.
I'm
And
pretty
Andrea,
sure it's the 12th.
Andrea, we just
I know
want to
last
make
year
sure
it was the
that
16th.
the FSA built those little libraries with Bob.
Yes, no, I absolutely have given them credit as well as you
Okay.
do, and I'm going to make sure everyone
Aw.
is, I'm going to make sure
Well-
everyone is everyone's named in it for sure.
Oh, well, you know, we're okay, but I want to make sure.
I think what
everybody-
picking at the end is a small portion of what it took to get those things going. That's for sure. So
That's awesome. Thank you.
yeah.
I know
right.
a lot of work before the festival, but is there a way to get some of the plants relabeled? It looks like the labels had faded in the healing garden. Do you need relabel? I just want to know what the yellow flower is. It's so beautiful, and I couldn't see the tag.
Yes, yes. And Betsy was working on, her daughter did those, and she's so busy with her twins, she hasn't had a chance to redo those labels. But those are cut leaf coneflowers at the end by the library.
Okay.
Cut leaf coneflowers. And yet, and we also have still the the ones with the what is it called? When you put the, oh shoot. I'm such a stupid ninny. On the thing, your code, QR
QR
code.
code. There you go.
We have those, but the glue messed up for Betsy on the QR code. So she had to go back to the guy and she's trying to get them fixed. So yeah, we have QR code ones to put out there too.
But you'll have people in the garden like explaining to you.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And then-
Yeah.
You guys do the cleanup? Like I noticed that the trail on the path on one side, we've always had problem
Well,
with. Is that
Guess
possible?
what? Guess what? I've already talked to our Super Bob over here about that.
Okay.
I've
awesome.
already talked to Jeff and Bob about that. Now we can't cut that hedge until spring. So we are on top of it.
It's beautiful. It's amazing. Greg,
Thank you.
I'm so sad that Greg's not here to see it every day. But
Well, I'm in touch with him and I do send him pictures. So
And he's living his best life.
he is.
All right, friends. Anything else? All right. My first meeting was an hour and 28 minutes.
All right.
Sorry.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Mary.
Nice,
Thank you,
Mary.
Mary. Good
All right.
job.
Thanks, Gary.
Any public comment at all? There's no public. So, all
Yeah.
right.
Thank you.
Great job, Mary. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye.
Mary.
See you on